Ever had a book idea and you looked at your child's imagination and thought, this could actually be a book? I'm going to show you in the next video how you can actually start it with the planning phase and how you can get your child's imagination, the ideas, and how you can actually create a book to sell on Amazon KDP for absolutely free. It's free to start. I'm going to show you the planning process, which is, I feel, is the most important part of your book. Without the planning, you can just subject yourself to getting lost amongst everybody else on Amazon KDP, and you don't want that. I'm going to show you how I use Canva, how I use ChatGPT, and how I used a story that my son imagined and he went about it. I wrote it down, took it seriously, and how I'm going to actually publish this book. And we're going to go along the journey together so you guys can see what I do and how I do it. And if you have any comments, make sure to leave them and I will respond to them personally for you. And also do not forget to subscribe so you can stay updated with part 2. So let's get to my computer. This part is all about the planning, and I'll walk you through choosing the style and the storyline, the book size. So I went with a 5 by 8 inch. It's a small, budget friendly, and ideal for young readers. And that's primarily the reason why I chose the book. And I also used Canva Whiteboard, which helped me to organize my story in a layout format because I wanted to see what my end result was going to look like before just putting the book together. Now, remember, the whiteboard part is not compulsory, but it is a great visual for you to actually put your story together, see what it's going to look like, and you can, play around with your images and move things and elements together so you can actually have a feel and see if those are complementing each other. And I also showed you how I map it out, adding the images and the pages and the design flow for the entire book, just using the Canva whiteboard. So this is the foundation, the part most people skip, but it makes the creative process 10 times easier when you have this for yourself and for your book. And then in part 2, I'll take you inside Canva to show you exactly how I build the actual pages, how I set the right dimensions for the book, because if you don't set the right dimensions for your book, Amazon is just going to send it back to you and tell you to fix pages, and you don't want that. You just want an easy process when you are done with your book. When you upload onto Amazon, you want that to feel, like you've accomplished because you followed out the rules the first time, right? And then I'm also going to show you guys how to prepare the file for upload on Amazon KDP. So if you're curious about creating and publishing your own children's book, this is the series for you. Drop a question below. Also, don't forget to hit subscribe and then turn on the bell so that you don't miss out on the next part. Okay, so let's get into it. So first things first is the planning of your story. So what I started with was that Lamar told me a story. Lamar wanted a pet. And I asked him, well, what kind of pets would you like? And we went through this entire series of where we spoke about the pets, and I wrote it down. I didn't take it for granted. And we went about to talk about what kind of dog, or to describe the dogs or the cats or the different animals that he wanted. We spoke about it. And we had a lot of fun doing so. So, for example, dogs are playful and adorable. They like to play lots of games. They are the best to cuddle. He gave his reasons for why these pets would be ideal. And then at the end of the book, the way we finished it was that he chose his favorite pet and he also gave a reason for it. And its dogs are wonderful pets to have and they make mankind's best friends. Okay, so we went through this entire book and it may not seem like a lot of words, but when you actually put it into story format, it really, really comes together so well. So this was the first thing, right, is getting your story. When you got your story, now there's 2 ways to do this. You can either go to to ChatGPT, and you can ask ChatGPT for an idea of a storybook, and you can even give the child's age. I'll show you how to do that now. So hypothetically saying you don't have a child at home or you don't want to use your child's idea, which I would definitely say go for because they have brilliant ideas, and you want to use ChatGPT for this. So you'll say, I want to write age, and then you can put age, let's just say 8 years old, right? Give me different ideas that are easy to write and generate in ChatGPT. And the reason I'm saying easy is because it's going to be your first children's storybook. You don't want to throw yourself into the deep end where it's so complicated. Now you can also add different elements to this, such as your style. Like, do you want it to have rhyming? Do you want it to be funny? And ChatGPT will help you with all of that. So all we do is click go. This is if you do not have a story as yet. Okay, so ChatGPT is going to generate that. So you want stories that are fun, meaningful, and easy to follow, while also being engaging for young imaginations. And there we go. We got the magical backpack, Detective Paws and the Missing Snack, the Idea Shop, My Alien Roommate, Superpowers Switch Hero. And what I love about how I asked ChatGPT the question is that it gives the lesson here, and then it also gives the ChatGPT prompt, right? So you actually use this prompt to curate your book. So write a story where a child gets a new, often silly or unpredictable superpower each day of the week. And I'm sure children would actually love to read a book like this. Okay, and let's see how many. It gave 10 different ideas. So from these 10 different ideas, you can literally take the prompt here and you can put it into ChatGPT, and ChatGPT will generate that story for you. And I'm going to show you how. Let's just take this one. I really did like this one. Here. Okay, I'm going to take that prompt and let's go for it. 7 Silly Superpowers. Perfect for 8-year-old. Even the name of that book is so cute. 7 Silly Superpowers. You know, it's something a child would remember. I might as well just make this book when I'm done here too. So Jessie was an ordinary 8-year-old until Monday morning. That's when the weirdness started. For one whole week, Jessie woke up with a new superpower every single day. The only problem? These powers weren't exactly useful. Now, this would definitely be something that children would so enjoy. So the super sneeze, bubblegum bounce, animal translator, giant thump, invisibility, sort of, copycat power, super laugh. And then your conclusion is your end of the book. Okay, so you can further go on to ask ChatGPT to actually, as you can see, it's already asking you, would you like this in a formatted printable book layout, chapter book style, or turned into a series? Now, I think this would be a really great book for a series. Okay, so you can continue this way if you do not have an idea already. Okay, so I already have an idea for this book, and then what I did was I used ChatGPT to actually create the illustrations for me, and I'm going to show you how. One important thing that I must add here is that when you are creating your illustrations in ChatGPT, you want to ask ChatGPT to give you a seed. And a seed is basically like the DNA of your character. For example, easiest way I can think of it now to explain it to you is that if I have your phone number, I can phone you from any other phone number and it'll allocate you specifically. Same way with the seed is that if I use the same seed number, it'll use the same consistency. For example, the same nose style, eye color, ears, hairstyle, and sometimes even the clothing that the character is wearing. So you want to ask ChatGPT to please create you a seed number that you can use for future reference whenever you are using this prompt. Then you always embed the seed number into your prompt with ChatGPT. Okay, so as we can see here, so the first thing is your planning, right? So the style, what style book? This is after you have your story. Now, I really like the Disney Pixar style, and that's why I use the Disney Pixar style. And I asked for a highly detailed Pixar style illustration of an 8-year-old boy named Lamar with light European complexion, tousled short curly brown hair, and brown eyes. He is wearing a smart casual blue collared shirt and light shorts. Lamar is standing outside a cheerful pet store called Pete's Pets. He is reaching for the door with one hand, smiling with excitement. The store has colorful signage and windows showing animal silhouettes, bright sunny lighting, and this is the seed number. So previously, and I'd actually deleted it because I wasn't happy with it, I'd already asked ChatGPT to curate me a seed number, and this is what it gave me. So now I'm going to be using the seed. But as I went on, I wasn't too happy with the quality of the image. Like you can see, it's a bit grainy, and it just has that like the color for me wasn't what I wanted for the book. Now, it's not to say that it's not a great picture. It is a very good picture, but I didn't want this style. So I went on into another chat with ChatGPT, and finally I got an illustration for him. And because I asked ChatGPT to render me different Disney Pixar styles for Lamar, and eventually I got this coming out from ChatGPT. And I'm so upset that I actually deleted that. And then I said to ChatGPT, I want more in this style. This is what I was actually looking for. And as you can see, the image is really, really alike. Look at the hair, look at the eyes, look at the shirt, very similar, right? And then I knew, okay, I'm happy with this image. And what I further did was I told ChatGPT to create the cover. And when I saw that sometimes it wasn't, there's two ways that you can work around this. And the way that I found easiest was, especially if you're not going to be using the paid version of Canva, is to ask ChatGPT to first give me the illustration of Lamar himself, and then to give me the illustration of the background. Remember, now it has the story and it can break it up for you. And what I did was I updated my storyboard here. As you can see, I've got page 1, the cover, no text, no story text. I've got Lamar's description here. And then I've also got the scene description for the first page. So what I started doing was I started taking the description for Lamar and putting it in first, and then giving it on a white background, and then saving that image to a folder, and then going on with the scene, so that I have two separate images. And in Canva, you can actually bring them together, which will then you can actually play around with your character, move him around and put him in different places, depending on what you want your feel for that book to go with. Okay. And also the reason I did that was because I found that sometimes, like, there's elements in the picture that I'm not entirely happy with. And if I had to remove one element, then I've got to remove everything else. Okay, so I said I want the background to look bright, like my uploaded image, and it still didn't give me the same quality as this. See, so it was conflicting with the lighting, and that's why I gave it the seed again, and it still didn't give. It gave me like that yellow wash, and I didn't want that at all. So I went on again and I said highly detailed Pixar-style illustration of an 8-year-old boy. As you can see, this is just for Lamar now. And it gave me just Lamar with its own background. So now it's easier for me to download this image, put it into Canva, remove the background, and have Lamar as a character himself. This is also nice because I can always use this character in upcoming books that I want, because I've got the character on its own and not also the background there that, could be problematic and so forth. So I really liked this picture. I saved it. So I said for each page, describe Lamar on his own, and then the scene I want in separate. So I took the first story, right, this story, and I asked ChatGPT to actually separate it for me for Lamar's description and the scene description, which you see over here. That was all ChatGPT helping me with that. Did it for the cover page, inside, fish tank, and so forth. And the story just went on and on and on. And then we started with so this was the different animals that we had, because I wanted to know the page numbers for the different animals and where they're going to be. If I wanted to, hypothetically say, let's just say I wanted to actually have a lizard out, then I would have a lizard for that picture. Then I can always play around with these pictures because they are individual parts and not part of one whole book, right? So I wanted this for 30 pages. General rule of thumb is about 32 for Amazon KDP for kids. And then the reason I say 30 is because, as you'll see in the video number 2, is that I'm still going to add a cover page, I'm still going to add a dedication page and so forth, and that's actually going to compile the book into more than 32 pages. Okay, and then also do think of your pricing. Okay, so we went down, and I'll show you all of that in book number 2. This is just the planning part that we want to focus on. And I'll just scroll down to the bottom. Okay, we continued, and as you can see now, the illustration is completely off. It's no longer that Pixar style, and I wasn't happy with that. Still not giving that Pixar style. Still unhappy with that, and there we go. So I created Lamar on his own again against a white background, and as you can see, the illustration started to work again. I feel like the less prompt you give ChatGPT, the more detailed it can be with specific things, and it can actually curate that for you much faster than if you're adding on like all of the details. You want windows to look like that, or the background to have that, and also focus on one thing, one subject matter at a time. And this one, I was focusing on Lamar. So as you can see, I asked for more excitement because this one looks like he's more worried in there, and he did exactly that, just focusing on the subject matter. And then I continued, and as you can see now, I wanted to create the background on its own. Now I could use this background, but I'm still not happy with the quality and the color that it gave me. And I still continued out, getting more images of Lamar as the character, as the subject, the pet store, and it just wasn't giving me what I wanted for the pet store. I wanted something very Pixar style, very bright, where you feel like, okay, Disney style. And when I asked for that, it gave me this. So the thing about ChatGPT is that you're going to have to be very patient because it's going to test your patience levels, especially if you are looking for a specific style that you want it to render and not asking it for its opinion on what it should render for you. Okay, so I was really happy with the descriptions of how Lamar was getting, but you can see sometimes it was giving like, this is not Pixar style. So what I went to do is I went to Google and just generated a picture. I Googled a picture of a background that is light and bright and colorful with pastel colors. And this is what I found. And then I uploaded this into ChatGPT. So ChatGPT can actually draw out the text from this. Like it can curate what the prompt would be for this so that I could actually do the same thing. And it did exactly that. As you can see now, the colors are more pastel, bright, soft, very inviting colors. Okay, and then I wrote it out again. So I said, write out a prompt that I can use for consistency about the background of this, especially the color. I love how bright and light the space is. And here we go, a 2D digital illustration. It gave the whole thing. You can pause the video to read it. And it gave me that. So I said I wanted to be 3D. I didn't want it to be 2D. I wanted 3D. And it added the 3D pixel style with colorful background installation inside there. And as you can see now, look at how much better that looks, and it's really more vibrant inside, even when he's inside the entire store itself. And as you can see, it gives off that really good feel for the quality book that I want. So I'll ask for Pete's Pets, and you can go back to the video at the beginning and see, like you can see the contrast, that this compared to what the first one was, it's not as yellow and it doesn't have that yellow tone washy feel, it looks way better compared to what it was. Then I continue to illustrate all of Lamar's images per page, just copying in, as you can see, page 7, and I continue to do that page 8 until I got all the images for the book that I wanted. Okay, and that is we can go down. Some of them you would have to fix, but you can only fix them inside of Canva, and I'll show you guys how to do that. For example, where's this one? I'll show you. No, it's not this one. In the fish tank, there, like this. See, there's a maze, and yeah, it's not that one. There's a fish tank. I think I passed it already. Let's go back up. So we can remove this in Canva. Like there's a mouse in the fish tank. So instead of me generating this whole prompt again, I left it as is because I know how to remove this in Canva without disrupting the entire flow of the image, okay? And I will show you guys that in part 2. And I really, really love the feel of this. Now, as you can see, there's one discrepancy over here. He's in a glass box here, glass there by the second one. And then here he has bars. So just remember to make sure you are changing it up. And as you can see, for this one, it gave me 2 dogs and the other one was just 1. And this one's white compared to this puppy over here. Right, and then I just asked for Lamar walking on his own, and I can just attach the dog to the bottom over there. And there we have another one. And I was really, really happy with the quality of the illustrations here for this book. It really makes me happy. Okay, so once you've got all your images, all you're going to do is you're going to download them and you're going to save them to a folder that you're actually going to use when you are creating your book, okay? Now, for this one, I also created a background because I wanted some of my pages to have text on without the text being on the image itself. And as you can see, it created pause as well, and I really, really liked that. Okay, and then you can see after a while it started doing its own thing. Like, look at that illustration there. And yeah, it gave me everything I needed. I was very happy with the prompts in ChatGPT after playing around with it for quite some time. So once I was completed with that, I went to the second thing, right? Now we already know the size and we spoke about that. We already have the story. The images have already been created for us in ChatGPT. Now the design layout. So there's 2 ways to do this. You can go directly to Canva and you can create your book. I'm not going to talk about any other design tools because I use Canva and I don't want to go and make you use something I'm not using. Okay. But what I do first is I start with the planning. So I went to Canva and I searched for a whiteboard. And in the whiteboard, I brought all my design elements here. So what I did was I literally just came to elements. I chose a shape. I chose a square, right? And you can see it comes out pretty small. I designed the size of my square. And what I did was I put it side by side, and I just designed it to fit that size over there, like that. Then I knew that this would be the pages I'm going to be laying out for the book that I'm actually creating. And then on the side over here, what I did was these were the elements for the book that I was going to be using. So on some pages, I wanted paw prints. This is the background on some of the pages as well. I liked this element over here for pets. And all I did was come to elements and type in pets background, and this is what was curated for me. And you'll see how this actually ties it together for a background if I want to have it for the text part. Okay, and this was the one that I used in ChatGPT, and this is what my layout or design was going to look like. Okay, so I left it here on the side so that I can always draw reference to it and bring it together. Now, when you start your layout of your book, you can also follow this design, or you can search on the internet for a simple layout for a book, children's book, and it'll give that. The first page is always going to be blank. The second page is going to be your title page. The third page is your dedication page. The fourth page is a quote or just an image that you want to add of the book. Okay, and then we start with page 1. Now, as you can see over here is that I've broken it up. Here's the individual picture. I'll actually zoom in some more. Here's the individual picture of Lamar, and I removed it. The original picture was actually that direction, and all I did was flip it so that it looks that way, so you can come from this angle when it comes to opening the door. And then I used the first picture that it rendered for me here, and all I did was add Lamar into the image going close to the door. There we go. Now, I didn't want the text on here, so that is why I asked for a background. And as you can see, there are moving parts of this because I'm able to move it if I don't want it in here. And I will show you guys exactly how to do this in part 2 of the video. Okay, then I put my text down. What's nice about doing this before you actually create your book is that you're able to see what your design element comes out looking like and your kind of finished product, right? And it, as you can see here, he's walking, but we want the foot is not complete, right? And zoom into that a bit. You can see his foot is incomplete over there. Now that I wouldn't want in the book, so we'd have to put it close to the edge there. Now it looks like it's actually complete. And this is what I love about the 2 element parts where you have 2 different subjects per time, then you actually just bring them in together. Now remember that what's nice as well about this is that you can play around with this and you can put different elements in different places because this is only the planning part. And then as I told you guys, for the elements here, here's this image over here that I used. And here is how I use it in the background. See, it really just adds to the dynamic. Now we can change the transparency of it, make it lighter, make it darker, and we can change all of the text there as well and just add different images of animals over there. Now I will come in when I go and do the proper book, and I will obviously close up the hole or the space there in this puppy's mouth so that it's not looking like that. You can see it there because it was the removal of background that I used. And I continued the same process like this. And some images, when I did want the full picture, which is called a spread, to be rendered, all I did was create a little bubble at the back. And I'm going to show you guys how I do one of them, okay? And here's another one where I use the background and just different words to add to the book. Okay, so for example, this here, I would actually move it higher so that it's not in the way of Lamar there. And there we go. Now it doesn't actually, mess up the image itself. As you guys can see, I removed the little mouse that was in here. And there we go. Okay, so let me show you how I designed one of these. As you can see, this one here is not the same size. Okay, so let's use the one that one of my elements, and I just zoom out to do that, to grab my element so that my pages stay consistent. I'm going to copy this and we're going to do it here at the bottom. We're going to do the example of it. Okay, so we can even make this one bigger for the purpose of this demonstration. Okay, so now it depends on my story. We can go down to the bottom. Okay, let's see which one we have. The chinchillas. I don't know if I uploaded that one. Let's have a look. Okay, no, I did not upload the chinchillas yet. Actually, let's see if I did here in his folder. Okay, I did actually. So I've uploaded into his folder and I'm going to drop the image there. Then we are just going to make it bigger. Now remember, this is the rough part. It's not the final book. So you don't have to stress too much. You just want to see what it's going to look like. So you could technically add the text over here at the top. Let's go and have a look. Okay, store the text, and then we come back here, paste it in. Let's have a look. So it could go there. Wouldn't be bad if it went there actually. There's enough space. So what we would do is we would create an element, okay? And I would say, let's come here. Two ways you can do this actually. You can click on that. Let me just move this up, and then you can come here to quick actions. It'll give you effects. It'll give you graphics. Let's see effects. It'll show us how we can actually have the book. I don't like that effect. That effect, so none. Okay, let's move this down. Right, and we want to basically have and you'll come here to your graphics. That could work. Then we can always change the color of that. So the way you would change, oh, that's also very nice. That one's also a nice one, depending now. So let's see, you can always change the color as well. Let's see, that one actually looks better. Then we can change the color. Let's do that together. Okay, click on that. And then when you click on your color, it's going to give you the different images on the page, and you can actually select from that. Like that, it looks better. I feel like this stands out more. Okay, then let's go back and copy this text and paste it in there. Let's just make it bigger. And then it also, your font style that you're going to be using also does matter. Okay, there we go. So as you can see, for this font, I have used, let's just move this down. I used, no, this is not the correct font that I used. There we go. Okay, I used Storybook. I want to use Storybook. So what you can just copy style, go back to the bottom, and then you're going to change that. And then you'll see it in a Storybook. There we go. So there's two ways to do it again. Like I said, you can either do it this way, or you can take this text and you can literally just put it this side. And then what you can do is here you can build up like a nest or chinchillas if you want to. Let's actually just see if there are chinchillas here. Now you see it doesn't have the exact illustration like this. So what we would do here, I would click on the image itself. I'll click on edit. I would click on magic grab, and it's going to highlight all the elements that can be grabbed for me. And I want to grab that, and I want to grab that, grab it. And I must say, Canva is literally just so amazing. So as you can see now, we've got the second element of that. Then what we do is we remove background. Perfectly done. So as you can see, we can add to this now. You can just bring it up here, flip it over. Then we're just adding different elements and designs to it. Then what else can we take from there? Let's see, like a cage or so in the background, or you can just take some seed, and then I would use one of my elements here. I'll definitely use one of my elements. Let's just go up to the top. I would actually use this one. So I'll copy that, go down my page again, come in, paste it, get it to fit the size, then go to position, backwards, Okay, then I would take the transparency and I would lower the transparency. So it definitely adds to the design. Then we can even take that, copy it, the element there. We can put it over the cushion backwards. And you can choose now whether you want it like that or like that. Kind of like it like that. You can add different elements to the story. So you can either have it there. We'll still take those and we'll put them back over here. Right, so it's both areas now. There we go. And we literally have a storybook layout, and you can add different things to this. You can also add your text and make it swarthy or however you want to have it there. Really easy to do this. So once we've done the planning and the layout, as you can see, I need to still change the page numbers here, but I'm done with the book itself, and I have all of the pages ready for final design. So I'm going to take the exact same concept over here, and I'm going to create it in Canva and actually create a detailed book, and then put it together and upload it in Amazon KDP, and also how I do my descriptions so that I stand out. And let's watch this book sell. Until next time, don't say I didn't plug you.